The young and the restless spoilers shocked Tracy sat alone in the dim light of her private study, her heart pounding as she dialed the secure line that would connect her to Martin. Every second that ticked by seemed to heighten the weight of her decision, a decision that could change the course of her life forever. For years, Tracy had clung to a belief that burned fiercely within her, that Allan, the man she had once loved with every fiber of her being, was still alive. His disappearance had left a void in her life, a mystery that haunted her every waking moment. Yet, in the underbelly of Genoa City, where secrets reigned supreme and trust was a commodity in short supply, the truth was more elusive than ever. Martin, with his notorious reputation for playing games and weaving intricate webs of deceit, was the only one who might have answers. Although his methods were as unpredictable as they were dangerous, Tracy was desperate for any lead that could reunite her with Allan. She believed that beneath Martin's hardened exterior lay a key to the truth, a key that, if turned correctly, would reveal whether Allan was merely lost or tragically ensnared in a labyrinth of lies and betrayal. When Martin answered, his voice dripped with an unsettling mix of charm and cruelty. "Tracy," he purred, "what is it that you want from me tonight?" His tone was casual, yet every word was laced with the promise of manipulation. Tracy's voice trembled slightly as she spoke, "I want the truth about Allan. I know he's alive, and I need you to prove it to me." Her determination was fierce, even as she recognized the peril of her request. Allan was not just any man, he was the love of her life, the man whose smile could light up the darkest of days. Yet, the man before her now, Martin, was a force to be reckoned with, a master puppeteer orchestrating events that could turn reality into a twisted stage production. Martin's laugh was low and mocking. "Oh, Tracy, you always did have a flair for the dramatic. But you know as well as I do, truth is a fragile commodity in our world." He paused, letting the tension build. "I have arranged something, a chance to bring Allan back to Genoa City. But nothing comes without a price." His words sent a chill down her spine. It wasn't just a price in money, it was a wager with fate itself. Without hesitation, Tracy confirmed her willingness to pay the exorbitant fee Martin demanded. For her, money was but a trivial detail when compared to the chance of reclaiming the love she thought was lost. "Money is no object, Martin," she declared, her voice resolute despite the fear creeping into her heart. "Just get me the truth. Bring him back to Genoa." Yet, as she spoke, the shadows of doubt began to coalesce around her. Could Martin be trusted to honor his end of the bargain? After all, his history was rife with treachery and broken promises. In the cutthroat world of Genoa City, where alliances shifted like sand and loyalty was as fickle as the wind, every word spoken was a potential snare. Tracy knew she couldn't make this decision in isolation. With a heavy heart, she resolved to confide in Jack and Ashley, two of the most influential figures in the city, whose opinions often swayed the course of its tumultuous events. Jack, with his deep sense of honor and relentless determination, had his own battles with deception and power. Ashley, on the other hand, was a woman of strength and insight, unafraid to confront the darkest of secrets. Both had witnessed firsthand the devastating consequences of trusting the wrong person. In a secret meeting at an elegant yet discreet venue in Genoa City, Tracy laid everything out before them. "I have a plan to bring Allan back," she explained, her eyes glistening with a mix of hope and desperation. "Martin has promised me a way to uncover the truth. But his price is steep, and I fear that his promises may be nothing more than smoke and mirrors." Jack listened intently, his brow furrowed in concern. "Tracy, you know Martin's reputation. His loyalty is as transient as the wind, and I worry that you're walking into a trap," he cautioned. Ashley, ever the voice of reason, nodded in agreement. "We all want to see Allan return, but if Martin deceives us, the consequences could be dire. His schemes are notorious, and his history of playing games with people's lives isn't just a rumor, it's a well-known fact." The room fell silent as the weight of the situation sank in. The stakes were higher than any of them had anticipated, and the possibility of reuniting with Allan, while tantalizing, was fraught with danger. Despite the cautionary words of her closest confidants, Tracy's resolve did not waver. "I have to take this risk," she insisted, her voice imbued with a fierce determination. "If there's even a sliver of a chance that Allan is still alive, I must try. For every moment I delay, I risk losing him forever." The passion in her tone was undeniable, and though Jack and Ashley exchanged worried glances, they could not help but admire her unwavering commitment. With the plan set into motion, Tracy prepared to make the payment to Martin, a hefty sum that was as much a symbol of her unwavering hope as it was a potential trap. Martin's terms were clear. Once the money was in his hands, he would orchestrate the return of Allan to Genoa City. But the nagging question remained, could Martin be trusted? His history of betrayal loomed like a dark cloud, casting doubt on every promise he made. As Tracy handed over the money, a part of her heart trembled with the realization that this transaction was more than just a financial exchange, it was a gamble with fate. The grand stage of Genoa City was about to become the setting for a drama of epic proportions, where loyalties would be tested, secrets would unravel, and love might just prevail over the darkest deceptions. In the days that followed, rumors began to swirl like a gathering storm. Whispers in hushed tones spoke of a mysterious figure spotted near the outskirts of the city, an elusive shadow that many believed could only be Allan. Yet, as with all things in this intricate web of lies, nothing was ever as it seemed. Martin continued to play his dangerous game, and every move he made was shrouded in uncertainty. The tension reached a fever pitch as Jack and Ashley kept a close watch on Martin's actions. They knew that in Genoa City, trust was a luxury no one could afford, and every promise was a potential betrayal waiting to happen. Would Martin honor his end of the bargain, or was he setting the stage for another catastrophic twist in a never-ending saga of deceit? As the days turned into weeks, Tracy's hope was tempered by the gnawing fear that she might be chasing a phantom. Each new lead, each cryptic message, only deepened the mystery of Allan's fate. In a city where drama and betrayal went hand in hand, the truth was always just out of reach, hidden behind layers of cunning manipulation and the calculated machinations of those like Martin. The question that loomed over them all was profound: is Allan truly still alive, or is Tracy's hope merely a mirage in a desert of lies? The answer, wrapped in the enigma of Martin's sinister plans, remained elusive. And as Tracy prepared to confront whatever fate had in store for her, she could only trust that the power of love, and the strength of her own resolve, would guide her through the darkness of Genoa City's relentless and unpredictable drama. Only time would tell if the truth would emerge from the shadows, or if Martin's treacherous games would ultimately shatter the fragile hope that Tracy had so desperately clung to. In the grand theater of life, every act was a gamble, and every promise was a potential snare in the complex, ever-twisting narrative of love, betrayal, and redemption. In the labyrinth of Genoa City's tangled alliances and betrayals, nothing was ever as it seemed. Martin, the cunning mastermind known for manipulating destinies with the flair of a seasoned puppeteer, had vanished from Genoa, leaving behind a trail of uncertainty and unanswered questions. His sudden disappearance did little to ease Tracy's burning desire to uncover the truth about Allan's whereabouts. As the days passed, whispers began circulating that Allan was being held captive in an undisclosed location, a hidden prison of sorts, where his survival depended on carefully rationed food and water. The mere thought of him confined, deprived of the freedom he once relished, ignited a fire of determination in Tracy's heart. The stakes had never been higher. Tracy's mind raced with a dangerous proposition: if a staggering sum of $2 million were the price to ensure Allan's survival, then every cent was worth it, especially if it meant the possibility of unlocking a long-sought love. Imagine, she mused to herself in a rare moment of hopeful audacity, if by paying that price, Allan not only lives but comes back to me, ready to embrace a love that's been dormant for far too long. Yet, beneath her fevered dreams lurked a grim reality. Allan had never reciprocated her feelings. In every whispered conversation and secret meeting, it had become clear that Allan was a man with emotions and priorities as distinct as his mysterious fate. His silence on the subject of love spoke volumes, a stark contrast to the dramatized narrative Martin had so expertly orchestrated. For Tracy, Martin's scheme was a double-edged sword. On one hand, it was the only thread of hope that might lead to Allan's rescue. On the other, it was an elaborate play, a theatrical performance designed by Martin to keep everyone dancing on his strings. Every move, every whispered promise, seemed calculated to trap her in a web of deception. Yet, the promise of $2 million was a temptation she could neither ignore nor dismiss lightly. With money always playing a central role in Genoa City's tangled power plays, she resolved to part with the sum, convinced that it would finally breathe life back into the dim hope of reuniting with Allan. As Tracy contemplated her next steps, the bitter irony of her situation weighed on her. She was about to pay an astronomical price for a man who had never truly loved her, a man whose heart had always belonged to something or someone else. The prospect of spending $2 million on Allan's life was both exhilarating and terrifying. It wasn't merely about the money, it was about the future, about the possibility of rekindling a love that, from the start, had been nothing more than an illusion spun by Martin's hands. Determined yet conflicted, Tracy reached out once again to her trusted confidants, Jack and Ashley. They gathered in a dimly lit room in an old mansion, the air thick with tension and the scent of impending decisions. "I've arranged everything with Martin," Tracy began, her voice steady despite the turmoil within. "He promised that if I pay the $2 million, Allan will be rescued and brought back to Genoa City. But what if this is nothing more than another of his deceptions? What if Allan returns not as the man I once adored, but as a stranger, bound by his own codes and distant from the love I so desperately wish to claim?" Jack's eyes narrowed with concern as he weighed her words. "Tracy, you know that money can buy many things in this city, but it can't force a man to feel something he doesn't. Allan's silence on this matter isn't just indifference, it's a sign that his heart may lie elsewhere." Ashley, ever the voice of caution, added, "We've seen Martin's play before. He thrives on drama, on creating narratives that are as twisted as they are compelling. What if the Allan you're yearning for is nothing but a pawn in his elaborate game?" Despite their reservations, Tracy's resolve hardened. "I must do this," she insisted. "If there's even a sliver of a chance that Allan is still alive and that his life might be saved, then the risk is worth taking. The promise of love, of seeing him again, even if only as a different man, is too powerful a temptation to ignore." Her words resonated with both passion and desperation, and while Jack and Ashley exchanged worried glances, they could not deny the magnetic pull of her determination. In the midst of her inner conflict, Tracy began to piece together the implications of Martin's scheme. It was clear that Martin, now absent from Genoa City, had left a legacy of unanswered promises and perilous bargains. The money she would send was not just a transaction, it was a declaration of war against fate. It was an act of defiance against the darkness that had shrouded Allan's existence, a last-ditch effort to rewrite a narrative that Martin had so meticulously crafted. As the transfer was arranged and the funds prepared to be dispatched to Martin's mysterious associates, a question lingered ominously in the background: would Allan, once freed from his unseen confinement, awaken to a life where his heart had no space for Tracy's love? The man who had once been her beacon of hope might now be a ghost of his former self, shaped by years of isolation and manipulation. Tracy's romantic notions clashed bitterly with the harsh reality that Allan's feelings, or lack thereof, might forever remain a riddle. The thought tormented her. She recalled the countless nights spent dreaming of a future where Allan's eyes sparkled with affection for her, where every tender moment was a testament to a love that transcended the ordinary. But deep down, she knew that Allan had always been a man of mystery, a soul whose depths could never be entirely fathomed or captured by promises or payments. His silence was as much a part of him as the scars left by past betrayals. In the ensuing days, as the money made its discreet journey to the hands that would eventually unlock Allan's prison, Tracy was haunted by a mix of anticipation and dread. She imagined Allan's reaction upon his release. Would he, in the disoriented haze of confinement, look to her as a savior? Or would he recoil, detached, his emotions forever altered by the experiences he had endured? The thought that Allan might return without ever offering even a whisper of love to her tormented her. It was as if Martin had staged a grand spectacle, a narrative in which every player had a role to fulfill, yet the script had long ago been written without Tracy's desired happy ending. In quiet moments of introspection, Tracy wondered if the concept of love itself was merely an illusion, a theatrical performance crafted by fate, much like the elaborate games Martin played. Could she believe in a love that defied the cruel twists of destiny? Or was her pursuit of Allan nothing more than a self-imposed tragedy, a relentless chase after a phantom that had no intention of embracing her? Meanwhile, the mystery of Allan's confinement deepened. Rumors filtered through the grapevine, each one painting a slightly different picture of his current state. Some said he was held in a derelict mansion on the outskirts of the city, others whispered of a hidden compound far from the prying eyes of Genoa's elite. But one thing was clear, Allan was in a place where survival depended on the most basic human necessities, food and water. And as long as those needs were met, there remained a glimmer of hope that he might one day return to the life he once knew. Tracy's internal battle grew more intense with each passing day. The promise of $2 million was both a lifeline and a potential snare. She was caught in a maelstrom of emotions, a potent mix of hope, desperation, and the stark realization that love, in Genoa City, was often more illusion than reality. Martin's departure from Genoa had not ended his manipulative reach, it had only set the stage for a new chapter in his game. The $2 million would be the catalyst that might either restore Allan to the world of the living or plunge Tracy deeper into a vortex of deceit and heartbreak. In the final moments before the transfer was executed, Tracy found herself questioning everything she had ever believed about love and loyalty. Was it possible for someone to truly care for another, or were all emotions in Genoa City merely threads in a tapestry woven by ambition and manipulation? The answer eluded her, hidden behind layers of intricate plots and the enigmatic silence of a man who might never return the love she so desperately craved. As the money left her account, and as the fateful agreement with Martin's lingering influence was set in motion, the city of Genoa braced itself for another storm of drama. Tracy's journey, marked by hope and betrayal in equal measure, was far from over. In the grand theater of life, where every promise could be a prelude to deceit and every gesture a potential trap, one thing remained certain, the question of whether Allan was truly alive, and if so, whether he would ever find a place in Tracy's heart, was destined to be answered in the most dramatic fashion imaginable. In a world where every act was a gamble and every whispered secret had the power to reshape destinies, Tracy stood at the crossroads of love and loss. With $2 million as her wager, she dared to hope against all odds that Allan's survival might bring not just a reunion, but a new beginning, one that defied the cynical plots of a man named Martin and embraced the possibility of a love that, however elusive, was worth every sacrifice. Only time would reveal the true nature of this intricate game of hearts, a game where money, loyalty, and emotion collided in a dazzling yet dangerous display, leaving everyone to wonder. Can love ever truly triumph in a city where every truth is shrouded in mystery, or is it all just another act in Martin's unending drama?